Today I'm going to be covering the sports festival and a lot of what goes on in UA. Now, when we last left off, Deku just got through a lot of training with his mother, and yeah, they essentially trained for what could be considered a couple thousand years, considering how fast they were moving, but it could actually be more considered probably a couple decades, a couple years, a couple thousand. Yeah, actually, let's go with a couple thousand, just so he can get more control over his power. Now, there is something I'm gonna do that you guys might either. Actually, hang on. Alright. Yeah, okay, I just had to look at something and redo my math. Yeah, okay. It was 365 days in a year, 8,049, I believe. Yeah, okay. So somewhere around a couple years, like I want to say at least over a decade, 2 decades, was how much the math came out to be. So after that, and after the whole Monma crap with the last episode, let's start off the sports festival. Now, Todoroki and Deku, they would have declared war on each other because they were seen as the two strongest in UA. But there was another. Meme references. Anyway, I am recording this before I hop in the shower because I might be able to do part 5. I think this is going to be part 6, and then I might be able to do part 7 before I go to work. But hopefully YouTube doesn't do that whole upload failure thing again, because I know that happened to a lot of the YouTubers yesterday. Now, I will not tell you who this other person is until later on in the series. Well, actually, I can tell you by the end of this episode. But a lot of people will hate me for it, or really like it, because it involves taking an entire character and rewriting them. And I'm actually changing a few things about some people's quirks, because let's say they got more advanced during the time they were training. Some of them all learned some new abilities. Kendall learned that she can actually make herself giant like Mount Lady using her quirk. Todoroki can somewhat throw like blue fire, not like that. He can switch his sides essentially by throwing fire out of the side where he throws ice out of, and throwing ice out of the side where he throws fire out of. So he's essentially able to use his quirk on both halves now. Frog Floppy has unlocked that ability that she can turn invisible. The Invisible Girl has actually gained. Actually, no, the Invisible Girl's not in this one. The Wind Guy can actually somewhat turn himself into a living tornado. And what I mean by that is his bottom half. He can make his feet disappear into a tornado to appear wind and actually go faster. Now, I'll be explaining some more people's quirks in this episode and how they got amped up. But there's also one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to change Monetta's character because he's actually still in UA. He's just in Class 1B. I never mentioned him in the last episode, but his quirk is different now. Instead of his balls just being made of slime, his entire body is made of slime. Now, that's going to be important later. Or not. I don't know what I'm going to do with him. I usually just change the script on the spot if I feel like I need to. Heck, I don't even have any of this written down. It's all in my head. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Cuts to me with an RPG avatar of just some goose screaming or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, I only got 6 hours of sleep. And I had NyQuil before I fell asleep. Then I barely had coffee. Okay. The Sugar Rush guy can actually somewhat. He can use salt and actually balance out his quirk. to like dull himself down now, but he can actually use salt and sugar to actually increase his intelligence. So he can actually use different spices to do different things to his body. Ooh, actually, that's a smart idea. How has no one thought of that? I have an idea for a quirk. Basically, a more advanced version of Shinra Breath. Anyway, now it would all start. Todoroki would blast. He'd cover an entire area in fire, then ice, and Deku would have punched straight through this. And Mineta is essentially like a ball of. Well, Mineta's body is essentially more like this. So he would actually like try and latch on to Deku to get a ride. Now, whenever that does happen, Mineta, as soon as he would latch on to Deku, Deku would have probably flown, since he can fly super fast, around where the mine. Well, actually, he would have flown past the robots after destroying them. Mineta would have let go and actually gotten stuck in the minefield. Now, Deku was placed first, Mineta would place second, and uh, actually, yeah, no, Bakugo would have like a version of Focalin because I've seen another YouTuber do this, where like he'd have small explosions popping around him. But instead of small explosions, it's more like steam popping off of him. So he can kind of like ignite his sweat. He can almost remotely trigger his sweat by throwing his sweat with some steam. Steam off his arms. Hmm. And doing all that. Now, Deku placed first, getting 10 million. President Mike would have asked, "Oh, guy, oh my, that was what happened? Wait, what? The robots are gone, and that is that guy from Class 1B first?" No, President Mike, he's not first. Take a look. Wait, is that Izuku Midoriya, the number one hero's kid? Uh, Kasumo, is that Kasumo's kid? Yes, that is him. He's a, no doubt about it. He would have placed first. His mom did in the sports back in the day. Don't you remember? Oh yeah, that's right, Aizawa. Well, still, it's hard to keep up with him. Yeah, he does that. Anyways, after that, Deku would be in first with 10 million points, and a lot of people are actually wanting to be on his team. But actually, no, Bakugo would have tried declaring war on him, but Deku would have kind of laughed at him. Because he would have saw that Bakugo's just straighting. He's a straight up brawler. He doesn't really have a fighting style. Hang on 1 minute. Anyways, so Deku wouldn't really take Bakugo very serious. Bakugo would get mad at this. And he would have tried blowing up Deku by shooting him in the face with an explosion. But Deku's just standing there, and he would just wipe the dust off his face. And just tell Bakugo if he does that again, he will punch him through a wall. He will knock him through the entire arena. And in this timeline, the arena is actually more reinforced. It was built tougher and stronger because of. Let's just say that in the sports festival prior, the one in Kozen, she kinda collapsed the entire arena. Now, people are stating that if this is going to be anything like then, hopefully the arena will hold this time. And Deku is actually stronger than his mom at this age, because he's nearly at her level while she's a pro hero. He's at about 85% of what his mom's power is, coasting on around 90. So Deku, he would then. Mei Hatsume would try and pair up with Deku, but Deku would just say that he was watching her gear while she was using it, and she does need to make some improvements. Mei would be kind of insulted, but she would tell Deku that that's what That's what field testing is for. Don't you understand that? She would then, actually, no, that'd be stupid. She would then say that the reason why most gadgets are field tested are to make sure that they work. Deku wouldn't really get it, so he would just shake her off and put her on his team. Well, actually, no. He'd have Froppy, Ochako, and Kendo his team. Now, Kendo would say that she can actually turn into a giant. Well, she essentially has a new ability with her quirk, and she would then begin stretching out her body. What I mean by that is she began growing like Mount Lady, and people were commenting on this. Deku would say that that's no need for that. Just to shrink back down again, and he can actually just carry all of them. They don't. May and actually no, Kendo, Ochako, and Froppy. They don't really think Deku can do this, but Araka is confident in Deku, and they would both see this, so they would listen to him. Now, as soon as they all get on his shoulders, he's essentially carrying all of them. And all the guys are looking at this, and they're thinking that he's going to be an easy target to get. Because Ochako is actually the one with the headband on. And as soon as it starts, Deku would then begin lifting up into the air. And he's actually barely using any hakai to do this. He just has it powered up in his feet. So he's doing that, and I forgot to get his hero costume. Dang it. He'd be doing that, and everyone was watching as he just gets higher and higher into the air. Then Bakugo would try and launch up into the air at Deku to try and get the headband. Deku would then fire a stream of fire out of his foot and actually hit Bakugo. And whenever that happens, his team, Kirishima, would actually try and catch him. You know what's going on already. Eventually they do win, and okay, I do have time. I thought it was at 16 minutes already, because of the explaining I did on the quirks. But now then, let's start at the battles. There we go. This time, oh no, wait, not Froppy. Toga would be on her team. Toga would be on their team. And the wind guy would probably be their biggest competitor at trying to stay away. I keep forgetting that Toga and the wind guy are in this what if. I need to actually remember that. But they would have actually the wind guy would have actually gotten somewhat close to third. Actually, no, he would replace Bakugo for third, or Todoroki for third. And yeah. So, anyways, we have Deku, Shinsho, Todoroki. The wind guy is right where Shiro is. Actually, no. Yeah, the wind guy is actually over there. Mineta is replacing the green hair girl there. And Toga is replacing the guy who sparkles, and Ochako is still in the same place. Now then, Deku versus Shinso. He would have been warned by the tail guy that Shinso might have a different quirk, because as soon as he started talking to him, he got brainwashed. Now, Deku would then think that if that's the case, he needs to end this quickly. So what he would do is he'd get in a fighting stance, and he'd have his hand outreached in front of him with his palm. He'd close it into a fist and pull it behind him, and he's in this fighting stance like Goku. Shinso would then begin insulting some of his friends, but then Deku would just punch the air in front of him. And everyone was watching this and confused. And then Shinso would just immediately go flying back into the wall of the tournament. People would then ask if did he just knock him out without touching him? Deku would then run over and actually see if he's okay, saying he didn't know he used that much force. He would then take him over to Recovery Girl, and that would happen. Todoroki versus the hmm, Todoroki versus the Wind guy, actually, because let's put the Wind guy here. And let's put Mineta where the green haired girl was. Actually, no, let's put Toga where the green haired girl was, and Mineta over here where Aoyama is. Now, Todoroki versus the Wind guy, they're both fighting and they're both having fun. They're actually having a casual conversation. Todoroki would eventually somehow get the Wind guy's body covered in ice, part of him, and he's falling, so Todoroki would then shoot him with fire, trying to burn him. He's doing all this and all that, and the Wind guy is trying to knock him out of the ring by essentially forming a tornado around it and pulling him up into the air. But Todoroki's not having any of that, so he would have actually froze his feet to the ring and just stayed there stationary blasting at the Wind guy. Now, eventually Todoroki would win because he is stronger in this what if, but the Wind guy is still at his own level. Now then, Toga versus Kaminari. Toga would immediately take out a vial of blood and drink it. People are watching this, and she would have actually got this approved by a lot of people, and she would have actually taken a lot of blood samples from different people from 1A and 1B, and she would turn immediately into Ida. Now, Kaminari is confused, and he just tries blasting with lightning. She would immediately use Ida's quirk and actually run around him, and she would punch him in the nose, knocking him out of the ring. Nose would actually break it, plus with his thumbs up, just a broken nose looks funny. And she would then go to Ida and actually thank him for letting her use this. Ida versus May, that whole thing happens, you know what I mean. Mineta versus Mina. Mineta is actually taller in this what if, and he's actually not a pervert. He's more like this version of Mineta that Kim made for his what if Deku was evil. There's 3 different versions of it, so you might get lucky and find the big boss one. It's a really good comic. I would recommend it because they actually do a lot of things where like Todoroki over here, Mr. Daddy Issues, he actually does become a villain and works under Deku. And Deku and his mom essentially run a bigger mafia of villains than One For All did. And One For All is trying to protect Deku from that man, but Deku is that man. And he doesn't know that Deku's mom, who just seems to be a run-of-the-mill housewife, is the leader of the biggest terrorist organization in the criminal underworld. Now, back to this, because that story I could talk about all day. Mineta would essentially throw slime. Well, Mina would try and throw acid at Mineta and doing all this, and Mineta would actually throw slime at her. And actually try and tackle her and throw her out of the ring with that. Eventually, Mineta would eventually get one of Mina's legs pinned to the ring by essentially shooting slime with spikes that Deku could in his bone manipulation one, where he would cock his hands back like he's Naruto running and then swing them forward and throw in slime like that. He would do that and eventually catch one of her feet with it, and then he would then pin her other feet, and she would then be unable to continue. He would then win and pull the slime off of her. He would then congratulate her for a good match, and now burb versus creating. The burb is not my saying. If no, those of you who know who does say it, good for you. I don't know why. I just feel like other YouTubers deserve more credit because they sometimes some create harder content, and doing a what if is kind of easy if you know how to storyboard correctly. This would go like in canon. Tokoyami would actually win. I believe that's his name. And Kirishima would win. And this one, Ochako, her quirk I forgot to explain. Not only did she learn to eventually turn off gravity with her quirk, she learned that she could increase gravity. But doing this also increases it on herself. So it has like an area of effect. Like if I were to touch something in the middle of a room, there'd be a giant circle engulfing most of the room that is affected. Eventually, it'd get to the point where if I were to turn it up to 2 times gravity, certain things would stay the same, but the glass table, let's say a glass table, if it was in my room, it would start cracking because it's handling more pressure than should be on it. Anyway, the Chaka would essentially end up turning gravity up to 5 times, and because of all the training she's done with Deku and Todoroki and Toga, they're able to stay standing. Well, she's able to stay standing and eventually outdo Bakugo. Because Bakugo, I could see him doing basic weight training. That's about it. That's all I could see him doing. So she would beat him. Now, Deku versus Todoroki. I'm gonna have to leave that off in the next part. I'm sorry if this is really teasing it for a lot of people, but I will start. I'll actually start recording that video after I get it edited and put in my video cutter or video editor. So I will do that as soon as possible for everyone. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.